Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending today's Shopify Partner Webinar session on the state of checkout extensibility. Today, we'll be covering what's new and how you can plan ahead of your own upgrade. As many of you already know, Checkout Extensibility is our new system for customizing your checkout that replaces Checkout.liquid. It allows you to extend your checkout in a way that is app-based, upgrade-safe, performant, and seamlessly integrated with ShopPay. Many of you attended our Shopify partner sessions a year ago, but a lot has changed since then. So today we'll go over some of these new features and deep dive on two major areas we know many of you are excited to hear more about. So the two major areas are Shopify functions and pixels. We'll also talk about key turn-off timelines for Checkout.liquid and share resources to help you support your merchants on their upcoming checkout upgrade. Hi, everyone. My name is Rowena. I'm a trainer on the external education enablement team here at Shopify. I'm joined today by a panel of experts from our checkout, functions, and pixels product teams. I also have Justine and Sandy working really hard behind the scenes to make us all look good and professional. So thank you for joining us today. For today's agenda, first we'll chat with Robin about a checkout extensibility recap and what's shipped at Editions. Then we'll move on to product deep dive into some core areas that were blocking upgrades in the past. Then we'll move on to talk about timelines and what this means for you. And then, of course, we've set aside 30 minutes for our Q&A portion of the session where you, our partners, can ask questions to our panel of subject matter experts within the product team. If you haven't submitted questions in advance yet, many of you have submitted questions ahead of time, but if you haven't done that, it's okay. You can use the live chat function for the remainder of this webinar. I will pause here for a moment to make sure that everyone is able to submit your questions, find your chat, get comfortable before we begin. All right, hopefully everyone has found their chat, everyone feels comfortable. If everything's all good, then I'll pass it over to Robin, Senior Product Marketing Lead on the checkout team, to get us started on recapping checkout extensibility.
Hey everyone, I'm Robin, and I lead product marketing on the checkout team. Let's get started with a recap of checkout extensibility. Checkout extensibility is a suite of tools for customizing Shopify checkout that replaces checkout.liquid. The deadline for the checkout.liquid shutoff is coming up on August 13th, 2024 for in-checkout pages. Checkout extensibility is app-based, upgrade-safe, fast, and integrated with ShopPay. It enables no-code customizations using apps and branding tools, and a wide range of bespoke checkout experiences that you can build using a collection of components and APIs. Some of the benefits of checkout extensibility include, first, no-code customizations that can be done by merchants and agencies. Second, there's increased speed and conversion. Checkout extensibility is built on the latest platform technology, which makes checkout interactions and page transitions about 2 times faster. And we've seen that boost conversion for merchants by over 1% on average. Third, there's integration with ShopPay. Customizations made through checkout extensibility can be applied to ShopPay with just a few clicks in the checkout editor. So merchants can benefit from ShopPay's higher conversion rates and a faster checkout experience. This is a huge value of checkout extensibility. We're unlocking the ability to customize express checkouts for the first time ever. Next, there's upgrade safety and better security. Once a merchant transitions to checkout extensibility, they never need to perform a checkout upgrade again, unlike using checkout.liquid. This means they'll get access to new checkout features as soon as they're available, and you no longer have to worry about customizations breaking when there's an update. Also, checkout extensibility is powered by a set of Shopify UI components and APIs that run in a sandbox environment, which provides additional security. And you have developer tools to build bespoke checkout experiences. So you, as agencies, can make advanced customizations to your clients' checkouts using our suite of components and APIs to develop custom apps. And finally, checkout extensibility is now available across the entire checkout journey, including the thank you and order status pages. Let me share some of the things we launched in Winter Edition this past January. First, we shared expanded styling capabilities with updates to our branding API, with new color properties and schemes, container styling options, and more. We made cart and checkout validation functions available for public apps. We made compliance easier in more markets by making it possible to request and query privacy consent in checkout. We shared expanded styling capabilities with updates to our branding API with new color properties and schemes, container styling options, and more. We made cart and checkout validation functions available for public apps. We made compliance easier in more markets by making it possible to request and query privacy consent in checkout. We expanded support for payment integrations to enable more alternative payment methods like Apple Pay and Google Pay, private label credit cards, and external gift card providers. We announced checkout extensibility for the thank you and order status pages, and we launched some new UI components. For those of you who build mobile apps for your clients, we launched the Checkout Sheet Kit that allows you to bring a fully customized, highly performant web checkout over into a mobile app with just a few lines of code. You can get more detail on these and other updates at shopify.com/editions.
Thanks, Robin. Now we'll go into two core product. Now we'll go into two core product areas of checkout extensibility. First is functions, and then followed by Pixel. First, we'll hear from Steven, Senior Product Manager from the checkout team, to speak about functions.
Thanks, Roina. Hey everyone, Steven here. I'm one of the senior product managers on Checkout Extensibility, and I'll be talking you through some of the updates coming to Shopify Functions. As many of you know, Shopify Functions unlock the backend of Shopify and allow developers to extend or replace key parts of the backend logic with custom code. This architecture provides the flexibility of open source without the hassle of hosting, security, and management of forked code. And since it's on Shopify's infrastructure, functions are also forward compatible, just like everything else with checkout extensibility. Over the last year, we have invested in releasing new Shopify function APIs, as well as improving existing ones to expand the breadth of possibilities with extensibility. The first one I want to touch on is the cart and checkout validation function API. Last year, we released the cart and checkout validation function, which allows you to block buyer progress in carts and checkout based on either standard Shopify data or using your own custom inputs. And some common use cases we've seen for this include age verification, product minimums, quantity limits, or blocking products from being sold in restricted regions. As Robin touched on earlier, in winter editions this year, we launched a few different improvements for validation functions, with the headline being public app availability. Along with that, we also launched abandoned checkout and order timeline notifications, merchant error notifications, and support for reading cart metafields. By the way, this is going to be coming for all functions as well. This last point here on admin is a big one though, as we have introduced an easier way for adding configuration experiences for validation functions, which coincides with that release for public apps and their ability to use them on merchant shops. But rather than tell you about this feature, I'll instead show or record a demo I made of this feature in action. This is going to be a quick demo of validation function showing the new admin UI extension powered experience. So for demo purposes, we're in the cart and we see we've got 4 of this shoe product in the cart. If we go ahead to checkout, we can see that orders are limited to a maximum of this specific shoe. And so if we jump over to the shop's admin, we can see that I've got this settings page as part of checkout settings, and go to the bottom for checkout rules. We can see that the limit is actually being set right here. And this is, I can update this live as a merchant, click save. If I refresh, you'll see that now the banner has been updated appropriately. And so the good thing about this is this whole experience is something new that shipped as part of Editions. And this is being powered by an admin UI extension from the app. So on this page, we've got some shared ownership between Shopify-owned UI as well as UI owned by the app itself. So we can jump over to some code. Here we've got the code of the validation function itself that blocks in checkout. And here we've got the UI extension that's running in the admin. Amongst a number of things in here, one key part is here. Similar to other functions, you're able to store meta fields against the function installation to store that merchant configuration, but we're able to hook into the save that would show up in the admin itself. And so this is really nice, especially if you want to offer some configuration to your merchants across different shops. And because it's an admin UI extension, you don't actually need an OAuth server. You can still use an extension-only app and be able to provide this experience to your merchants if you find that helpful. And so that wraps up the demo for cart and checkout validation function API admin configuration experience.
Thanks, Stephen. Last year, we introduced the Cart Transform API, which lets you customize the way that products are priced and presented in the cart and checkout. The first use case we solved for was enabling dynamic product bundles. In the January API, we enhanced the pricing and merchandising capabilities of Cart Transform and introduced a new operation for modifying products in the cart outside of bundles. The Cart Transform functions are run whenever customers add or update products in the cart, and they can apply changes through a set of operations. So the expand operation lets you take a single product and expand it into a bundle with component parts. And this can be used for dynamic bundles or to sell a product with bundled add-ons. Previously, you could apply a % reduction on the price of the components when they're bundled. Now you can also specify fixed prices on each component to give you the more fine-grained control over how prices are distributed. We've also added the ability to customize the title and the image for an expanded bundle. Next up, the merge operation lets you take two or more product lines in the cart and merge them together to form a bundle with price savings, custom images and titles. And we've added a new update operation that lets you customize prices, images, and titles for products outside of bundles. This opens up a whole world of customization capabilities, enabling you to make made-to-measure products that are priced by the square foot or other highly configurable products that don't map well to a standard set of SKUs. This also helps replace a range of customizations that were previously done in Checkout Liquid in a way that's compatible with Checkout Extensibility. Finally, as part of the latest API, we've also improved error handling and reporting with more enhancements coming soon. It's a really powerful toolkit for product customization. Can't wait to see what you'll build with. Next up is Jonathan with an update on discount functions. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan. I lead engineering for discounts at Shopify. Our out-of-the-box experience is meant to support the most common use cases that cover the most common problems for the majority of merchants. Larger merchants will encounter problems that our out-of-the-box solutions won't cover, and that's where the extensibility features come in, and that's why we're all here. You have, up until now, been solving some of these problems using the scripts API and using checkout.liquid. And as we're talking about discount functions, I just want to really frame the shift from scripts to functions. The key is that with scripts, the discounts that you were creating would, first off, live separately from the out-of-the-box discount types that we offer. And secondly, you'd have a script in which you would often have many different campaigns or many different discounts, codes, and so forth, all in one script. At the top of the script, you would have a blob of code that contains configuration data, and merchants would have to edit that code in order to be able to start their campaigns, change the settings on existing ones, etc. And then just further down in the same file, you'd have all of the code that was, the implementation of that discount type. With functions, things are different. You create an app. In that app, you are defining the behavior of your discount that we're going to run for you, the user experience that merchants are going to see when they create new discounts using the types that you are creating. And you will also be able to have backend applications or whatever that you need to be able to react to data changes in Shopify or externally. And that we use the Shopify Admin API to update the discounts, to update other things, meta fields, either on the discount instances, on products, on customers, on the shop itself, in order to adjust the behavior of the individual discount types that you've created and the individual discounts the merchant has created using your types. The merchant installs your app, they create new discounts using the types that you've offered. They see discounts of your app's types mixed right in with discounts that came out of the box from Shopify, and maybe even other third-party apps they've installed. It gives them that really clear, high-level view of all of their discounting behavior in one clean place. It's really great for the merchants, and it creates a much better developer experience for you because you get to not have merchants potentially editing your code. You get to give them a nice UI, and they get to do whatever they need to do. We've got 2 specific updates for discount functions, and then a little more I'll add at the end. For the product discount function, which enables you to create dynamic discounts that affect cart line items specifically, so the merchandise in a cart. Some of you have already been using it. I hope a lot more of you start to use it. We've seen some really exciting and interesting examples where people have been using this for different types of discounts that we've supported, such as volume discounts, tier discounts, customer programs, VIP or loyalty points or things like that, as well as creating discounts with slightly different behaviors to the out-of-the-box amount off discounts, like 10% off all sunglasses, except for the ones that are tagged new, because I don't want to discount my latest releases. Or a discount with an upper limit, so 10% off of all espresso machines, up to $500 off. Up until now, when you have a product discount function, it can produce a set of discount proposals as its output. And you've had to select either that we should apply the first applicable of those proposals or the maximum value possible from that set of proposals. And that way you would be able to say 10% off of these hats and 5% off of those socks, but only give whichever one is the greatest. We've introduced the discount application strategy all. And what that unlocks for you is the ability to have one discount code with multiple effects. So you can say, my BFCM 2024 campaign means 10% off hats and 5% off socks. And if both of those are applicable for you, you get both of them. This isn't something you've been able to do before. We've heard a lot of merchants wanting it. I'm really excited that you get to start using. The other new feature is that we've added more webhook notifications that you can subscribe to. I hope you already know, but webhooks let your app react to behaviors, with behaviors to data changes within Shopify. And it allows you to do far more advanced things than you can do without them. So as an example, you can subscribe to a webhook for when an order is placed. And as a reaction to that, you can increment the loyalty points on the customer meta field. And then your discount function can read that and apply an appropriate level of discount to that customer. Or you can react to order and inventory changes and store an inventory tier into a product meta field. Again, your discount function can now do an inventory-based discounting strategy. These open up a lot of possibilities. And with webhooks from discounts, you can now react to changes on the discounts themselves or changes on the discount codes. And what this does is it makes it a lot easier for you to either create marketing applications that are going to start using new discounts as they get created, or simply ensure that your backend system and our discounts data are kept properly synchronized. So you never have the situation where a merchant can change a discount settings through discounts admin in Shopify and cause it to go out of sync with what's on your backend and your systems. Some of you have solved this in the past with, labeling your discounts that you create as do not edit. So the merchant has that warning in admin. Now you can get rid of that warning and not worry that a merchant's going to activate and deactivate in bulk while your backend doesn't know about it. This is a really cool thing. It makes life much cleaner for the merchants. I really hope any of you who are currently using a do not edit or similar message adopt this and make a better experience for everyone. The other discount function update I've got for you is the shipping discount function. This is one that's been in dev preview for some time, and it enables you to create dynamic discounts on shipping rates, not just product prices or order amounts. Out of the box, we offer a free shipping discount type. With a shipping discount function, you can now do far more advanced things like 50% off of express shipping for VIPs unless they buy products tagged no express discount. Really, anything you can think of. We've got this in the shipping discount function. We also took into account some feedback we got from developers using the dev preview. Again, 1,000 thank yous for giving feedback on dev previews. I hope you keep that in mind in a moment. We've added the ability to target individual shipping methods. So you can return from one function invocation all of the discounts for all of the different shipping methods that are available to the customer. And then when the customer chooses which method to use, they'll get that discount. It lets them see those discount values before they pick their shipping method, it lets you write a much simpler function that just returns all the different combinations you need to, and know that we'll give the best overall deal to the buyer. It's available now for use in production shops. I hope you're taking advantage of that. We have a new function API that's gone into dev preview. And this one's a bit more advanced. It's really for those special cases where a discount function isn't enough. But first, you have to understand how the overall platform works. The platform has two key phases. First, we filter the potentially applicable discounts. We run each discount to generate the discount proposals. This is the moment when your product, order, and shipping discount functions get used. We take all that set of proposals and go into phase two, where we determine which set of proposals yield the maximum benefit to the buyer. We call this the discount allocator function because it's allocating discount amounts onto the specific lines of the cart based on the discount proposal that it got as input. Shopify's built-in allocator is designed to suit the majority of the use cases that we've seen. We take a trade-off between performance and accuracy, but there's always going to be special cases, and there's going to be merchants with completely different discounting strategy desires. This function allows you to replace our allocator to meet your merchant's needs. Some examples that I can imagine off the cuff. You can have one code that does multiple effects from different types. So discount strategy all on the product discount function I mentioned before allows you to have multiple discount effects from one code, but they all have to be product discounts. With your own allocator, you could have one code that has effects on product discounts, order discounts, and shipping discounts. You can do an upper bound, an upper limit per cart. So just say an overall policy. You can have all the discounts you want, but you will never get more than $1,000 off a single cart. You can have a completely different strategy that doesn't try to just do the full solve and instead lets you do priority tiers to optimize for specific business needs. Like maybe you want to optimize first the discounts that we think will attract first-time buyers and repeat buyers. And then second, we'll opportunistically add any discounts that we think would encourage inventory management. Really, it's going to be up to your imaginations to figure out what you can do with it. And those of you who've had complicated merchant needs, I hope you're already thinking of these ideas. I'm super excited about it. It's in dev preview now. There's a bunch of additional enhancements coming in the roadmap, including ways of expressing conditions and combinations and stacking constraints. And as we do that, you get to move away from using your own custom meta fields to using standardized ways of expressing this information in discount proposals so that your allocator function can now interoperate better with native discount types and other apps discount types. We're going to be adding the ability to have custom dynamic data per discount proposal that will be fed into your allocator function. The last thing, maybe not in time, but in this list, is we're going to improve your capabilities in terms of error messaging. I know that there's cases where our out-of-the-box set of error messages aren't going to suit the specific reasons and messaging you want to offer your buyers, your merchants' buyers. When using your allocator function, right now in dev preview, you can use a few specific messages we offer. Coming soon, you'll be able to create your own totally custom ones. We also have other things in the roadmap that are coming soon that aren't about the allocator function, and they address common problems we've heard from merchants and from developers and partners like yourselves. We're going to be adding cart line item targeting to product discount functions soon. We're going to be adding same line product discount stacking. Both of these have been often requested. They're particularly useful for more complex use cases. I'm really excited that you're going to get to use them. The last thing, definitely not the least, I feel your pain in engineering. We're adding some developer productivity enhancements. We're going to add a little more sample code. We're going to be doing this gradually but continuously over the rest of the year. This is going to get you a much clearer picture of how we think of solving problems using our tools. And hopefully it will inspire some more understanding and some more creative problem solving for you and your devs. And the other one is we're going to be introducing UI extensions into the discounts domain. And this is going to unlock for you the ability to have completely serverless discount applications. So today you make your discount app. In order to serve the user experience, you still have to have your own servers. The extra latency for those network requests, the reliability concerns that come with that, and just the fact that you have cost of having those servers running. All of that can go away if you start using discount UI extensions when they come out soon. I'm going to be around for questions at the end. I hope you're as excited about all this as I am.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh, a product manager at Shopify, and I'm going to walk you through our WebPixel solution. For those unfamiliar, WebPixels help merchants collect customer behavioral data, or as we call them, customer events. This includes things like product views, cart updates, or purchases. These customer events help merchants get better insights to power their marketing campaigns and analytics. For most of Shopify's history, there's never been a purposely designed way of adding pixels. Merchants and partners found a way through modifying liquid files and various admin settings scattered about, like the ones listed. This essential part of running an online store has been a pain for a long time, as it was difficult to set up pixels properly, time-consuming to maintain and manage, difficult integrating with cookie banners, and a source of online store performance stability and risk. All compounding factors that degraded the quality of marketing campaigns and analytics. So these legacy means of adding pixels are getting turned off. Checkout.liquid as soon as this August and the others the following August. Because now we have a better way with our Web Pixels admin features and APIs that we launched in 2022. They're simpler. No code for merchants to write. It works everywhere. Storefront, checkout, thank you page, and more services to come. And developers get purposely built APIs for the highest quality integration. It's more secure. Everything loads in a sandbox for greater control over your customers' data and privacy compliance tooling. And it's more stable. Our sandbox moves codes off the main thread for better shop performance and prevents unstable code from taking down your online store. Merchants have two options for setting up Web Pixels: App Pixels and Custom Pixels. App Pixels are built by app developers and can be automatically configured when you install their apps. They are the recommended approach as they're the easiest to set up, automatically upgraded and maintained by partners, and there are hundreds of them available right now at our App Store. Also, some apps like Meta, TikTok, Pinterest, Snap, MailChimp are integrated with our server pixels for even better signal. Now, if what you're looking for isn't available in our current App Store, there are custom pixels. These are manually set up pixels where the merchant can configure the code themselves. We only recommend this approach for merchants if what they're looking for isn't available in the App Store. As mentioned, app pixels can be found in our App Store, and there are hundreds. No coding required. Once the app is installed and set up, the merchant is ready to go. Adding a custom pixel can be done in our customer events section of the admin settings. As you can see, it's code heavy and not recommended if your vendor has a Shopify app, as it's more complex and requires long-term maintenance from the merchant. That said, it's much simpler than ever before. Simply subscribe to the customer events you're interested in to begin tracking. Shopify takes care of the rest. As a bonus, you can do all of this in one place. No more JavaScript snippets scattered throughout your admin and theme files. Both custom pixels and your app pixels can be referenced from the same customer events page in Shopify. You can review their connection status, privacy settings, and data access settings. Out of the box, we have almost every customer event you could, with standard events for almost every part of the customer journey. At this past editions, we also announced support for collecting DOM events, starting with clicks, form submissions, input blurs, focuses, and changes. And if that still isn't enough, you can always publish and collect your own custom events. Lots more detail in our developer documentation I highly recommend checking out. When you're starting out with our new Web Pixels, there is an important difference we want to call out between the old way of implementing pixels and this new way. To achieve improved performance, security, privacy, and reliability, these pixels run in a sandbox. This means only the data pushed into the sandbox can be tracked. Now, as you saw, we make available almost everything you could need. However, if our standard events don't meet your needs, no problem. You can push your own data into the sandbox using custom events from Checkout UI extensions and Storefront Liquid. Moving forward, there are three big areas our team is focused on to continue to build the customer collection capabilities in Shopify. First, we're adding more standard events that you can collect. Second, we're adding more data properties to existing and new events. And third, we're adding the ability to collect events from more services. In particular, we're looking to extend functionality to customer accounts and Hydrogen. For more information, our developer documentation has a public roadmap so you can see what's recently shipped and what's coming soon. We also have a bunch of resources available to help you migrate pixels, including migration tutorials and the Shopify Help Center. Lastly, because Web Pixels are available right now and work on Checkout Classic and Checkout Extensibility, you don't need to wait to begin your Checkout Extensibility migration. You can begin migrating your pixels right now and have one less thing to do to check off your extensibility checklist.
Thanks, Josh. I'm seeing tons of questions coming in the live chat. Thank you so much for that. Keep them coming. Now I'm going to hand it over to Robin to walk through what's next for you.
Hey everyone. So what's next? I'll go over the timeline and also some support resources that we have available. Let's take a look at the high-level timeline for the sunsetting of checkout.liquid. On February 13th, 2023, we announced the checkout.liquid deprecation for in-checkout pages, which gave merchants 18 months until the deadline to upgrade. Then on November 7th, 2023, we announced the deprecation for the thank you and order status pages, along with apps that use script tags and additional scripts. On August 13th, 2024, checkout.liquid will no longer work for in-checkout pages. Up until that date and beyond, we're going to continue shipping more APIs, components, and capabilities for checkout.liquid. That deadline is coming up fast. So moving forward, no one should be building upon checkout.liquid. It's important that everyone is already making the move over to checkout extensibility if they haven't started already. Now, there is a second deadline, and that's August 28th, 2025. That's when checkout.liquid will be turned off for the thank you and order status pages. And at that point, apps using script tags and additional scripts will also be turned off. Shopify scripts will continue to work alongside checkout extensibility until this date. Now here's something we launched recently, which should be a huge help in scoping and planning checkout upgrades with your clients: the customizations report. This report uses AI to provide a list of all the customizations there and some guidance on how to rebuild those customizations and checkout extensibility. This report is available in the admin in settings on the checkout settings page. Here are some ways we'll support you in helping your clients upgrade. We've set up some new office hours where you can book one-on-one time with checkout experts at Shopify to deep dive on specific challenges and questions. We'll be sending a follow-up email after the webinar with a link that you can use to book this one-on-one time with us. Of course, we also have our Shopify.dev documentation, which is kept up to date with the latest resources, tutorials, and of course our product roadmap, so you can see what's coming up for checkout extensibility. And lastly, you can always reach out to Shopify support for immediate help or questions. Keep an eye on your inbox for a follow-up email within a day or two. It'll include specific resources and links related to today's topics, as well as a recording of this full webinar.
All right, that concludes the end of our presentation. I'm going to bring the panel back and then we'll dive into Q&A time. At this time, if you have questions, feel free to use the chat function. We're still going to be monitoring that. All right, the first question is, will Shopify release a GUI tool to control options in the brand API, making it easier for brands to update and understand the changes that can be made?
Yes, we do. There are some basic branding capabilities that are available today, but we do plan to bring more of those branding properties into the UI so it's easier to customize later this year.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, the next one. Are there any plans to allow cart attribute access to checkout validation functions? Non-Plus merchants don't have access to checkout UI extensions. No meta fields.
Yeah, so card attributes are available in the input of these functions today already, so that should be possible, but we aren't planning to allow write access to card attributes as part of that function.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, for the next question, is there a simple way to convert existing script editor scripts to the new functions format?
So functions are more tightly integrated into our commerce platform to enable more powerful customizations over time. And also they are written in different programming languages from Shopify scripts, with Rust and JavaScript being the main one that we support. So there is no direct way or like automatic way to change a script into a function.
Cool. All right, will there be a way to manipulate DOM with JavaScript using a shell app? At the moment, it's impossible to keep some functionalities for my client with the new version.
Yeah, so as a side note, we would love to know what customization and what problems you are looking to solve for the merchant, as that's something that we're always interested in helping you achieve. We get a number of questions around stuff like DOM access or being able to directly add JavaScript scripts to the page or edit the HTML, etc. And like I understand why you ask for these use cases, but the reality is that with the platform that we're building with extensibility, right, we support a number of different checkout surfaces today. We have the 3-page, we have one-page checkout, we have Shop Pay, as well as the Shop app, our mobile app. We just launched Checkout Sheet Kit add additions. And so in order to ensure automatic customization capability across all these different services, we just can't give access to these features. And instead, what we want to know is what the problems you're looking to solve for your merchant. And so we can build those into the platform directly. And that way those customizations will just work on all those different services.
Cool. Thank you, Stephen, for taking all these questions. I'm not sure I think next one is you as well. To what extent will we be able to customize the design of the checkout page? As of today, these options are somewhat limited, using a headless front end.
Yeah, so this is a little bit similar to the other branding question. So as I mentioned, there's a couple basic properties available in the checkout editor today, and we'll be looking to expand that later this year. But if you look at the branding API itself in the admin documentation, we have quite a number of different properties and customizations that are available to design the checkout, and we're continuing to add to those available properties over time as well. We would love to know, more specifically what you're looking to design, or if you've already looked at the branding API, what might be missing there that we could add for you.
Cool. All right, next up, are there any plans for fuller migration docs, especially around critical tasks such as migrating conversions pixels when there isn't an app? Is anyone here to take that? Is it Josh?
Hello. Hey. Hey guys. Yeah, as for our migration docs, if you check out our help docs, there's a number of pointers there. Most of them, if you look at the official migration documentation, talks mostly about how to identify and move existing pixels. I'd also highly recommend we have documentation on how to create a custom pixel, and that will probably give you the best insight in terms of what it looks like to set up any pixel from scratch. And the example that's given in our documentation is the metapixel, but you can apply the exact same principles to any pixel that you're setting up.
Cool. Thanks, Josh. And looks like it's back to you again, Stephen. We're working you really hard today. Next question is, does Shopify provide solution to export function metrics? I do not want to rely on logging into partner account to see failures in a function.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any solution that allows you to export those error logs today. I do see how it could be useful. One of the considerations for us is that functions sometimes have buyer PII, depending on the inputs that you're reading, and so we have to be careful that we're not giving away to exfiltrate large amounts of PII if we were to do it in this way.
Okay. And again, with functions, I would like to release a new function extension to an existing app. How can I do this without enabling this function for all stores that has the app?
Yeah, so functions won't be activated automatically on shops. Your app is in control of that. You'll expose some UI to the merchant in order to let them set it up before it goes live. But we don't automatically activate functions, and you should expect that the merchant would go through some setup process before it goes live on their shop.
Okay. Can we use validation for positive inline field validation, i.e. change field styling when field is populated, rather than negative validation or blocking checkout?
Yep, this is a good question. Not something we currently support. We're mainly focused on the errors and blocking aspect with the validation function. Making sure to correct, buyers if there's anything wrong with the order. And not something we're looking into add right now. But I will say that you should be able to do something similar with a checkout UI extension, i.e., display some custom content to the buyer to let them know that everything's been, everything's good to go.
Okay, in terms of data privacy, what changes are coming to the checkout? How will tools like OneTrust function in checkout compared to how they do today?
So at Winter Editions this year, we launched a customer privacy API for checkout UI extensions, which matches close to the one that's available on the storefronts today for collecting and managing buyer consent. We're also working with some of the top app partners in the space to help them build checkout extensible versions of their apps. So you should see those coming soon. And at the same time, we'll be making sure that customizations that you build with apps do respect different customer consent values.
When it comes to Shopify Plus, how do you manipulate DOM to propose custom options when users select specific delivery mode?
Yeah, so I'll skip the down part, but depending on what the customization that you're looking to achieve, it sounds like you want to provide some specific options when a particular shipping method is selected. So we do have an extension target that allows you to add custom content onto individual shipping options. You can check that in our documentation, and that should be able to allow you to offer the same sort of custom fields.
Okay. Next question, will the standard API ever support the ability to write to meta fields? It will be very useful for thank you and order status page extensions.
Totally agree on the usefulness here, and something we'll likely add in the future, but right now we're focused on the in-checkout customizations. So this one will be coming later.
All right. How to create a custom branding app through extensions instead of using the GraphQL app of Shopify.
So you won't be able to access the admin GraphQL branding API through an extension directly, but it's just an access scope that's available in the admin app. So if you have a custom app or some other app that you want to build to access the branding API on a shop, you can do that. You don't have to use our GraphQL app.
Cool. When it comes to app extension, can't we give the color schema property to the components?
So we set the visual customizations and properties of the checkout via the GraphQL branding API that we've talked about a bit, and then when checkout loads, we automatically apply those branding settings to the checkout UI extensions, and then make sure that across different surfaces and checkout types, that those customizations will provide a consistent experience to the buyers in the checkout, and so we don't allow modifying or directly changing those from the extensions.
Cool. Thanks, Stephen. I think this question is for David. Could you share more details on customizing how products are displayed in summary? Will we be able to edit, show, or hide properties that contain business logic?
Yeah, so today if you add a custom property or attribute to a cart line and you use an underscore as the first character of the key for that, so that will actually be hidden. So that lets you have some properties which are visible and shown in checkout, and others you can hide them and just use them to drive your business logic. You can also, if you need to customize like the title or the image or how products are grouped, the cart transform API is really good for that.
Thanks, David. Back to you again, Stephen. Are there any plans to offer a step API for checkout UI extensions? Our use case requires the merchant to go back to the shipment and payment step.
Yeah, so I assume what you're asking here is something that allows you to sort of redirect the buyer to another page in checkout. This isn't something we're currently planning to offer. We've got the 1-page, 3-page checkout, shop pay. We've got all these different experiences, and that API doesn't really make sense except for within the 3-page checkout. And at the same time, we want to be really careful about providing APIs to let you redirect buyers to different parts of checkout, as it could make the experience kind of, not great.
Cool, thanks. I think this one is for Josh. How to load opt-in survey pop-up in checkout page via custom pixels.
Hey, yeah. So for any checkout UI customization that you want to do, you want to be using checkout UI extensions. For web pixels, it only is for the purpose of tracking behavioral data, and there's no UI functionality there. That said, you can communicate from your checkout UI extensions to web pixels. Within your checkout UI extensions, there's an analytics.publish event, and this will push data from your checkout UI extensions into your custom pixels, which is often what people are looking for to communicate between those two things.
Great, thanks, Josh. And this one's for David. Is it possible to add a free product to an order using cart transform?
Yeah, so if that free product is, you want to present it as like a part of a bundle, we can do that through the expand operation. You can take your original product and then add the free product to visually group them. The other alternative is to use like a checkout UI extension, which can actually add the the new line item for the free product, and that has access to which discounts have already been applied. So that would be another way you can do that.
Cool. This one's for you again, David. Question for Cart Transform API. Is there any plan to make the update operation available for non-Plus stores?
Right. So we don't have any plans to expand that in the near term. Apologies, that was kind of a late announcement, but yeah, that would be Plus only going forward.
Okay, cool. Thanks. For Stephen, question for Checkout UI extension. Can we use another map provider other than Google Maps?
Yep. So this is something that we plan to add in the future. It's something that we could add, but right now we focused on Google Maps as it's by far the most common choice. And at the moment, there's no other providers you can use other than Google Maps.
Okay. And for David, when would the Shopify bundle app be updated to the new API with the ability to set prices for each product in a bundle?
Right. So the Shopify bundle app is really designed to be like the simplest possible bundle app, and like the baseline that partners can build upon to make their own apps. So we may enhance it with more features, but if you're looking for a particular thing like per component pricing, I'd say best to look in the App Store and look at some of the apps there.
All right, thanks, David. Back to you again, Stephen. Is the checkout extension validation just JavaScript validation? Can it be trusted? Because how can we be sure that the person didn't just get around the validation?
Yeah, so this is where the cart and checkout validation function comes in handy. So that function runs on Shopify servers in a secure environment, and it runs on the server, so you can ensure that it will get applied to buyers no matter what, and there's no way that they can get around that validation. With the checkout UI extension validation, you can use custom inputs, provide custom UI, and block the buyers in checkout, but it runs within the customer's browser, so there is some chances that it could be manipulated or skipped around. So if it's something you absolutely must validate, that's where we recommend using the validation function.
Okay, the next one is it possible to use another address suggestion or validation provider?
Yeah, so apps that provide address validation or correction, so something like, did you entered in this address, did you mean this address? Those are already available today, and if you want to build your own, those APIs are also available to do so. And we're also planning to bring address autocomplete, so allow your extension to provide autocomplete, and we're planning that for May of this year.
Okay. Also, just want to let you guys know that we will build an FAQ document, and we will also send this in an email together with the deck and recording. Next question is for David. Is it possible to present discounts visually when applying a percentage discount on a merge cart transform? Without it, such transforms appear non-discounted.
Right. So currently we only show like a strike through on checkout if there's an actual discount applied, where the cart transform is really around price adjustments. But there is a way you could include extra information about this using custom properties or custom attributes. And in the April release candidate for the cart transform function, we give you the ability to set custom properties on there. So you could include like a little message showing, saving 10% along with your line there.
Okay. And for Josh, do you plan to provide any solution to the Google Tag Manager preview compatible with Pixels?
Yeah, so we're talking to Google right now about making their debugger compatible with our sandbox. Unfortunately, until that's ready, which is in Google's control, there's their legacy debugger, which is available, and console.logs. Not perfect, but should get the job done until we have a better solution.
Okay. And same question for you as well, Josh. How do we handle GDPR or Shopify privacy policies with the Web Pixel sandbox?
Yeah, so in your checkout settings, there's a section called customer privacy, and you can configure all of your regional privacy settings there. So for example, perhaps in the EU, you want to require consent for before you do any sort of behavioral tracking. So that can be configured there. And then in Web Pixels, the way that they're set up today is that they require at minimum analytics and marketing granular consents to be given before they will run on the page at all. So they'll be blocked from running or tracking any sort of data unless that consent is given. And what you're going to see very soon is more control over those granular consents. Some pixels are just analytics, some are just marketing, and so you're going to be able to customize that very shortly.
Okay, thanks, Josh. And for Stephen, what will happen if the merchant does not migrate?
Yeah, so this is a very spicy question. We're sunsetting Checkout Liquid for the in-checkout pages in August of this year. So beyond that date, merchants will have merchants will have access to the different set of customizations, or they can, if not, they will just be reverted to a standard checkout.
Okay. And then does upgrading to checkout extensibility compatible with order status page, custom scripts, and thank you page checkout.liquid customization?
Yep. So today a merchant can move their in-checkout pages to checkout extensibility and retain Liquid or any other additional scripts on the thank you page and order status pages. I will mention, however, that we also do have extensibility available on those pages. So if a merchant wants to use the same, customizations across the in-checkout and post-purchase pages, we definitely recommend doing so. But we know some merchants will need some time. So yes, this is possible.
All right. And next question is for David. Do we have any way to display our Shopify function discount on a storefront? For example, we have a function who set this discount for 10% for a product who has a meta field set to true. I wanted my product page displaying the price with a discount. Can we call the Shopify function configuration on the storefront?
Right, so not today. We're definitely exploring how we might be able to bring discount information earlier in the buyer flows, but you'll have to keep watching for that one, maybe later.
Cool, thanks. All right, for Stephen, when will checkout extensibility features work on draft checkouts?
Yep. So right now we're investigating how to support UI extensions on the draft order checkouts, and we're planning to build that in Q2 of this year. As a side note, I would love to know specifically what customizations you're looking to run on the draft order checkouts and how, if those differ at all from cart created checkouts. But yes, this is on our roadmap for Q2 this year.
All right. Is that all? All right. Next question. In regards to bundles with the cart transform, is there any plans to allow controlling the expand and close state of the bundle in the UI?
So we're working on some enhancements for the future for options for how bundles are displayed in cart checkout. So yeah, this is something we will consider. I'll pass this along to the team, see if it's possible.
Next one for Josh, is the Web Pixel Sandbox compatible with Google Consent Mode?
Yeah, so for those unfamiliar, the Google tags have consent configuration, which you can initialize. If you're setting up a custom pixel in our customer events section, those pixels right now are only loading, as mentioned, when analytics and marketing consent are given in regions where consent is required. So, for example, like the EU. And you can simply pass those values into your consent configuration. And there's going to be more granular controls over these things in the future. But right now, it's just web pixels are only loading when analytics and marketing consent is given. And so those are the values that you can pass in to get your consent configuration.
And then next question is for Josh as well. Question for customer events. While I'm using checkout completed standard event, I'm getting order ID instead of order ID. I want the order name. Can I get that? Oh, sorry. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I can still, yeah. I'll have to check. So, we have one of the fastest checkout in the world because a lot of information is being processed asynchronously. So it's available to us immediately on the order in terms of information is the ID. Now, so some of the information isn't quite processed yet. I'll have to check on the name. But depending on your integration, if this data is being processed later with some app integrations, you can look up the rest of the information and populate the rest using our GraphQL API.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Do we have more questions coming in? Okay, will there be a way to add customization to product pages where the option increases the price of the base product? We do this via apps or bundling with each option as a product to charge for those product options.
Yeah, I can take that one. So the cart transform function lets you adjust prices up or down So it's not just for price reductions. The way we usually recommend doing this would be if you have like a product with add-ons or upgrades or things that you can configure. If you use meta fields to store what those options are and each of their prices, that data is also available to you in your liquid templates for your product pages. So as you kind of build your UI for selecting those options, you can show what those additional costs are, and they'll all be combined once you add to cart.
All right, thanks. And then this one's for Stephen. Is there a way to add fields and or show error messages in a billing address?
Yes, I don't believe we have a specific extension target to add fields directly as part of the billing address, but the billing address fields are available in the input of a UI extension. So you could use a UI extension to show any information next to a billing address.
Is there a way to add, is there any way to access the product tags from the checkout completed event or add custom data to the payload? I believe this is for you, Josh.
Yeah, we're looking into this. Much like the previous answer, if you want to get more information about the order, depending on the integration, if it's with an app, and they also have our GraphQL API access, and they can go back and populate this information. But if you're using Google Tag Manager, it's not going to be integrated with the GraphQL API, and so you're probably looking for this information in real time on the client side. So with product tags and meta fields, these are like unbounded queries, so they can be very expensive for us to always pull in. If you have like 1,000 product tags or a large number on all of your line items, this could be an expensive thing for us to pull in. And so we're trying to find the balance here with making this information available and not causing some performance issues with your checkout. So I don't have an exact solution for you right now, but it's something we're looking at, and we know it gets asked for a lot, in particular with tags and meta fields.
Okay. And next one's for Stephen. If I have a third-party script which adds a button to DOM that gets user consent to track customer events, will that script work with the new checkout page? And if not, how do I achieve this?
Yeah, so there was a question earlier around like support for OneTrust and other consent apps. As mentioned, we released the customer privacy API. It's currently on the unstable version, but it should be available to custom apps the same as public apps. So if you're building your own button, you can look into the customer privacy API as part of the Checkout UI extensions developer docs for more information.
Okay, so the first question is from Andy, and I think this question is for you, David. Is it possible to add line items directly to the cart via functions? Use case here is automatically adding a free gift when the cart satisfies a certain condition.
Cool. So the only way to add an extra line through a function itself is through the cart transform function. That's mostly for like add-ons and bundle type products. For your use case, it's probably better to look at checkout UI extensions, which have the ability to create new lines. They also have access to everything about the cart, including like discounts that have been applied. So that can either respond to like a customer clicking on a like add to cart button that you build in checkout UI extension, or just custom logic to say like they've reached the threshold, the thing is active, they should get the free gift.
Great. Thanks, David. And now this question is from Esther, and it sounds like it could go to you, Stephen. On the example of cart validation, when validation fails, the error message is displayed at the top of the checkout page. Is there a way to show that error in a pop-up model, which automatically displays when checkout page is loaded when the validation fails?
Yeah, so we don't support modals with the errors that come from validations, but we do support a number of different targets in the developer documentation. I forget exactly which page. Maybe we can send that in the chat. You can choose from a number of different targets. So maybe you want to target like a specific address field, and you can have the error show up there rather than at the top of the checkout page.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And looks like this one is for you as well, Stephen, and it's from Taylor. Can you confirm if the cart and checkout validation API works for vintage themes at the cart? Or in order for this to work properly, do we need to have the cart at least on a JSON template?
So as long as your theme uses the cart Ajax API, you'll be able to use cart and checkout validation functions when buyers are on the cart.
Great. And this one's for Jonathan from Newport. Is there a way to have a flat discount code? Flat shipping of $5 triggered by a discount code.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Just FYI, that's a different question than what's currently showing,
My
but
bad, yeah.
happy to answer the one you asked and this one. So showing a discount, a shipping discount function can absolutely result in effectively flat shipping of $5. You'd have to calculate it every time, but anytime that the shipping information would change, we would re-execute the shipping discount function. So, you can take the delivery option price, subtract 5, and return that result as the discount value. Thanks.
Sounds good. Oh, yeah. Is there, sorry, this one we just answered. Okay, when will you allow hiding express checkout completely?
So we're not ready to share timelines on this quite yet, but I can share that we are looking at supporting this. And as soon as we do align on a method for providing this functionality, we will share timelines on our public roadmap in the developer docs.
And can we use a third-party API such as FedEx API for real-time shipping rates on checkout?
Yeah, so this is a customization we've supported for some time. If you're looking to build this yourself, you'll want to go to the developer docs and look up the carrier service API. So carrier service is the API that's used for fetching dynamic rates at checkout. They may also have an app for this.
And you again, Stephen, this is the asker is from Steve for you, Stephen. The question is, will checkout extensions be available for draft or invoice order checkouts?
Yes, this is the plan. We're aiming for this to be available in Q2 of this year. We're already looking into how to support this given some of the differences in the way draft orders are created versus carts, but we're planning to make this possible in Q2 this year.
Okay, great. This one's for David. Will there be any setting for automatic product reordering?
So we don't currently have a way to reorder the products in the cart. They're displayed kind of in the order in which the customer has added them. The one option we do have is grouping with cart transform, like I mentioned, so you can to bundle certain lines together. I'm keen to hear about what the use cases are here. If you really need to reorder in the short term, you can clear the cart and re-add the products in the order in which you'd like them to display. But that's kind of a destructive action. So I'd like to hear more about that one. Thanks.
Thanks. And Stephen, is it possible to pre-complete parts of the checkout? For example, automatically set the delivery address based on a setting made by the customer in the store?
Yep, not something I think is supported right now, but this is something we are planning to add support for. So say, either for use case of buyer acceleration, you've already got the information in the storefront and you don't need it to be entered at checkout, or maybe some other use case here, we are planning to make this possible, yes.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. This is for Jonathan. Dynamic custom data per discount proposal. Does that mean, in theory, you could use customer data or cart data to calculate discount allocation?
Thanks. Absolutely. That's a question because it basically explores the question of what are the different sources of data you can use to influence the behavior of the allocator function. And although it's still in dev preview, you basically today can use meta fields on discounts, the cart, I believe, the shop for sure, and the customer and the products that are in the cart. When we add dynamic custom data per discount proposal, that'll let you go to that extra level of dynamicism. So today you can already use customer data, just look at customer meta fields or customer tags. And where dynamic custom data per proposal comes in would be if you have a function that wants to return priority levels per proposal, and then you want your allocator to respond accordingly. Thanks.
Great, thank you. This one's for Stephen. I would like to release a new function extension to an existing app. How can I do this without enabling this function for all stores that has the app?
Hey, that's a good question. So when the app gets installed on a shop or when you add a new function to an existing app, it won't automatically be activated on any shops. Typically, what we'll see is that you, as a developer, will build an app and have some experience for the merchants to go through in order to set up, any configuration that may be required for the function to operate properly. But in any situation, you're in control of when that function gets created and activated on the shop. So you should be able to do this without affecting merchant shops immediately.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. And for Josh, how to move thank you and order pages from Liquid to extensibility without breaking the Google Ad purchase tag?
Hey, yeah, thanks for that question. So there's two options that you have here. So Google has an official app, and you can simply install that, and they've got a great integration that will automatically set everything up for you. The other option is you can move your tag that's in Liquid into our customer event section within the admin, and you can configure your pixel there. In our help docs, we've got a great tutorial. The example in our help doc shows you setting up a meta pixel, but you can apply the exact same steps to any pixel and get the same results. So, yeah.
All right, thanks. For Stephen, how to load opt-in survey pop-up in checkout page via custom pixels?
Yeah, so I would be curious to know about the error you're getting. However, what you're mentioning here seems to be like showing us a survey, which is, about rendering UI to the buyers in checkout, which I would actually expect to be done via a checkout UI extension rather than a custom pixel. And we actually have a tutorial of how you can do this available on the developer docs now. It's targeted at the thank you page, and it gives an example of how to build a post-purchase survey using our existing components and APIs.
Thanks, Stephen. This one's for you as well. If the user is authorized and has an address, the address fields are replaced by selecting the existing address. How can I disable this feature?
Yeah, so I think ideally we don't want to have this feature disabled. Instead, what we're going, and this is something actually that's come up for us recently that we've started looking into. Rather than just disabling the feature, I think what we'll do is give a way that allows the extensions to interact with this in a better way, while so allowing buyers to retain this usability and acceleration, but allowing your extension to interact with it appropriately.
Okay, thanks. And for Jonathan, will cart or discount functions operate the same on the POS? Auto discounts using functions currently don't apply to line items in a POS.
Yeah, there's currently a few limitations on which discount functions features, discount extensibility in general features work on POS. We're very actively working on closing that gap. I don't have a concrete timeline for the POS roadmap steps in front of me, so I can't tell you if there's anything that has a concrete timeline I can announce. But I can tell you to stay tuned because it is an active area we're working on.
Great, thank you. Stephen, will make possible to save the meta fields data out of the order/checkout. This is to provide the option to read this in future purchases of a customer.
Yeah, so I think it might be helpful to just clarify a few things about our meta field. So right now, you can save data to in checkout that will eventually be converted to an order meta field. This doesn't exist on the thank you and order status pages, but we do plan to add that in a future update. We're just focused on the in checkout experiences. We're also not currently planning to allow meta field saving to other resources besides the order at this time. So that's something that we would be open to adding in the future. And then just changing the original checkout inputs. I assume you're talking about the post-purchase pages where you're trying to update the order. That's something you could do via like the order edit APIs or something like that. But if you're in checkout, you could use some of the existing extension APIs to make data before it gets converted to an order.
Okay. And then another question from Steve to Stephen. Will checkout extensions network calls be able to use Shopify app proxy requests? Currently, checkout extension UI network calls do not allow for an options request.
So I'm not sure about the options part, but for the app proxies, so the app proxies are supported in checkout UI extensions. The problem is that the app proxy doesn't work from a UI extension if the shop is password protected. And that happens to be all developer shops are required to be password protected. And so what happens is that it would work on a production shop, but you don't have a good way to test it on development stores. It's not something that we can change easily without risking security changes. So our recommendation is for the UI extensions to not use app proxies and just use the direct URLs instead.
Cool. Thank you. And then this is a question for Josh from Chad. How to convert the JavaScript snippets in checkout to custom pixels?
Hey, Chad, how you doing? Thanks for the question. So yeah, a lot of these snippets are transferable to custom pixels. The steps for setting up any custom pixel is really, you can find them in our help docs, but the basic steps are one, initialize your SDK. This is normally like a snippet of JavaScript that comes with all pixels. And the next thing is, in this case, if this is on checkout, you're probably listening to like a checkout completed event or maybe some of the other events there. Those are all available as standard events, and you can just subscribe to them. And then as soon as those events happen, you can trigger your pixel to track those events. So it's really convenient. You should check out all the standard events that we have. We make them super easy to set up, not just on checkout, but throughout all of Storefront. And it really has improved the quality of data collection for all merchants that have started integrating with web pixels. Obviously, better data means better analytics, better marketing performance, and all those things.
Okay, thanks, Josh. This one's for David from Alex. In Checkout.Liquid, for customized products, we were able to replace the product thumbnail from an image URL saved as a line property, item property. Anyway, how do we do this now?
Right. So this was one of the things we just added to the latest cart transform API. With the update operation, you can replace the title or the image or the price or any three of those through that transformation. So that does the image replacement for you. One note on that, we require that the new image URL is something that's hosted on our CDN. So it already kind of needs to be attached to a product for security and performance reasons. So we've got some documentation on that on our dev docs, which has a guide of how to use it. But that was exactly what we designed that for, to stop you having to do your own image tags and so on in Checkout.Liquid and actually replace the product's image through the cart and checkout.
Oh, thank you. The next one is for Josh. Do custom pixels work across the whole site or only in the checkout? Specifically, with Google Tag Manager, do I need to add a custom pixel for the checkout and a JavaScript pixel in the head and body tags in the theme.liquid?
Yeah. So you can set up all of your custom pixels in one place, and they'll run everywhere. They'll run on Storefront, they'll run on checkout, they'll run on the thank you page. And you're also future-proofing yourself for future surfaces that we're adding. So there's a new customer account section that we're beginning to roll out. Hydrogen is another surface that we'll eventually support. So yeah, our hope is that in one place, you can manage all of your pixels. They're automatically integrated with all the compliance tooling. They're able to easily subscribe to all of the events that are automatically orchestrated for you for better data collection. And so, yeah, absolutely, I recommend, and you absolutely can manage everything both on Storefront and Checkout and all these other services all through the custom pixel setup.
Cool. While I still have you, the next question is also for you. If we have data tracking already set up for Storefront, is it good practice to utilize custom pixels for checkout tracking only using JavaScript to determine the current URL?
Yeah, so if you're looking for information in the URL to determine whether an event should fire, maybe you're checking the URL path or URL parameters, all that stuff is available inside the custom pixel or inside of our iframe. Basically, our iframe is like a mirror of the top window URL, so you'll get all the same information there. And then also we make available just the URL in our event payload, so you can also read that information to make a determination in terms of whether you should or should not fire any events that you may be wanting to track.
Thanks, Josh. Next one is for Jonathan from Paul. Will we be able to reject discounts, both auto discount and codes in the discount functions?
Thanks. So we don't currently have a way to reject codes in the sense of showing, a message that is custom or anything like that. But what you absolutely can do in your discount functions is not return a proposal. So effectively making a code do nothing. That's currently the best we've got. We are exploring whether this is something that belongs in the allocator, whether it's something that we should be doing elsewhere. If you have really strong use cases that you want to share with us offline to help inform where we're going with this, I'd love to hear it. Thank you.
Thanks. And this one's for you as well, Jonathan. When will it be possible to set a limit of use in the automatic discount create function? My product auto discount for a free product. need to be used once. So re-adding the variant set both of theme to 0.
Yeah, so we definitely have that delta, that difference between what you can do with automatic app discount create versus discount codes. The way you could work around right now, implementing a limited use count, would be to attach that number to the discount as a meta field. Use the webhooks to update, like to automate updating that meta field. And then in your discount function, you're simply checking to see if there's available uses left. It will leave you with a very narrow edge case. The time delta between things, can mean two simultaneous customers could both get one of the limits, but that's a pretty small edge case, and it should generally work pretty well for you.
Okay, thanks. Next one's for Josh. This one's by Jake McDonald. Are there any updates for custom pixels to be usable on Hydrogen?
Not right now. Just mentioned previously, yeah, it is something that we want to do. For now, you'll have to orchestrate the pixels on your own Hydrogen storefront, and then use our custom pixel solution for your checkout and your thank you page. Ben, who is in charge of Hydrogen, him and I are talking about this all the time, so it's certainly top of mind for us, and we'd like to get to it as soon as possible. I just don't have time for you right now.
Thanks. This one's by Esther, and it sounds like, Stephen, you can take this. Will there be a support for OneTrust cookie consent scripts on checkout page?
Yeah, so actually at this past winter editions, we shipped the API, the customer privacy API, which is one that exists on Storefront. We shipped a version of that for the checkout UI extensions so that you can maintain or modify that consent in checkout as well as in the Storefront. We're working with partners and key partners in the space, such as OneTrust, in order to help them launch an extension compatible version of their app. So they're already aware of the APIs, and yeah, we're working with them to make that possible.
Okay. And this one's for you as well, Stephen. Are there any plans to be able to turn off the discount fields at checkout either through functions or checkout extensions?
Yeah, we totally plan to support this, and it's something I would expect to see sooner than later. We're aligning right now on the solution. As you mentioned, functions or extensions could potentially do it. And as you mentioned, also maybe just a setting. I think it could be a little bit heavy-handed to require something like a function for this. But as soon as we have a solution finalized and a timeline ready, we'll put that in our public developer docs roadmap.
Cool, thank you. And for David, we have a catalog B2C customers and want to offer different price lists to customers coming in with different discount codes. How can we achieve this?
Cool. I think I might need to ask some more questions to get all the details there, but I can give you information on what I understand of it. So currently we have catalogs which let you set up price lists for B2B customers or for markets and regions. Those will show on the online store, and those also have the ability to show compare app prices if you're doing like a markdown sale. We don't currently have a way to show different prices on the storefront, depending on like customer identity, like customer segments for direct-to-consumer customers. And we don't currently have a way of showing like reduced prices based on a discount code outside of like just actually reducing the prices once you've added to the cart. Those are the kind of the tools we have right now. If you want to show a reduction, it kind of needs to be by region or market or B2B. But this is something we're looking at into in the future. Like, I think it would be great if we can show more discount information up front.
Okay, thanks. This one's for Josh. Our web pixels are recommended for use outside of checkout. For example, replacing pixels in storefront liquid.
Yeah, just as a general best practice for consistency, to use the same system for tracking all events. Yeah, you'll want to use your web pixels on storefront and checkout. They're going to use the same framework for managing privacy. They're going to use the same event lifecycle. Web pixels also gives you the option of annotating all of your events with a consistent event ID. And so the more that you can builds to our standard events, our event lifecycle, our privacy, I think you're going to find that it's a lot more easier to maintain and make sure the quality of your data is the highest. So yeah, I recommend using custom pixels or web pixels across all of these different surfaces.
Thanks, sorry. Yeah, this one's for Josh as well. Will there be support for Google's Tag Assistant when using Google Tag Manager via Shopify Pixels?
Yeah, I think this is referring to like the GTM preview mode, where is normally used to debug any sort of changes you might be making to your GTM containers. So currently that is not working with the official debugger inside of the Google Tag Manager app or the website. So the alternatives to that today, while we work with Google on how to resolve that, the Chrome extension, the legacy Chrome extension for GTM should still work for you, and console logs always work as well. But we are talking to Google about how to fix the default tag assistant or debug mode on GTM.
Cool, thanks. This one's for David. Many clients have portrait images, but the new checkout force is square. Anything we can do about this? The person who asked this is Manu.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we enforce that the product images need to be on our CDN, because we generate all the right resolutions and dimensions for them so that they're consistent. So yeah, I'd take a look at the docs for the CDN and for the cart transform update if you're using it that.
Sounds good. For Stephen, can purchase limits apply to all products rather than specific?
Yeah, so this should be something that's possible to build. For example, with a cart and checkout validation function, one thing you could do is look at the quantity of an individual line, but you could also look at the sum of all the quantity of the line items on the cart and block accordingly.
Great. This one's for you as well. The asker is Paul. When will the breadcrumbs API open, allowing to choose where the cart links to?
Yeah, so we're expecting to ship that in the next week or so. Extensions are available on the header, and you can hide the cart links with the branding APIs if you want to offer different navigation for the links there.
Cool. This one's for you as well, from Rocky. Can you please confirm if cart and checkout validation functions will also work in the Shop app?
Yes, so the plan, and they should work today. They work in guest checkout, they work in Shop Pay, and Shop App is a version of Shop Pay, so functions will work across all those different surfaces.
Great. Next one's from Nikhil for Stephen as well. What is the reason for not exposing customer tags in the UI extension? Are there any future plans to incorporate this feature?
Yes, so I think we do plan to support this in the future. I think the limitation for us right now is that I think historically we've had some performance issues with customer tags, and right now with UI extensions, we don't have something like the input queries that are available for functions, but we do plan to add something like that to UI extensions, and at the same time, we could make it so that you could query customer tags at the same time.
Okay, last one for Stephen. Is it possible to roll back for liquid checkout?
Yeah, so any merchant that is currently testing extensibility can roll back to liquid customizations if they have them. There's I think some UI within the checkout settings and the admin to do that. Just note that that functionality will go away on August 13th, and we recommend making sure to test sooner than later with extensibility.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much to our panel and to everyone here who has attended. This concludes our webinar today and the live Q&A session. Thank you so much for joining us today to learn more about checkout extensibility and deep diving into Shopify functions and web pixels with our subject matter experts. We're investing in checkout extensibility as the sole way to customize Shopify checkout. And as Robin mentioned, checkout.liquid will be turned off in stages starting in August. In the coming days, alongside with the recording of this webinar, you will also be receiving several resources to help you support your merchants on their required upgrade. Thank you again for partnering with Shopify, and we hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.